The following program is made possible by generous gifts from partners of Benny Hinn Ministries and viewers like you in this area.
Pastor Benny Hinn is urgently preaching the gospel to the lost because the world's only hope is salvation through God's only Son, Jesus Christ.
The gift of God is life eternal.
This is your day to join Benny Hinn in proclaiming Jesus as Savior and Healer.
What a mighty God we serve, and to Jesus be all the praise. Listen, this is your day for a miracle today. The Lord loves you, you know that, and you're very, very special to Him. You are the apple of His eye. The Bible says that. Listen, He loves you. He loves you so very much. Today I have with me Dr. Ted Broer and his wife. Listen, I am so thrilled to have this couple with me because I've known him forever. He's from Florida, and when I was a pastor back in Orlando, he in fact came to my house one time, and now he's here. And he is brilliant. He is going to help you today with health. Every so often we'll bring you a program on health because God wants you healthy. Remember, I've told you there is the divine and the natural, and we must obey both laws. Well, dear Dr. Ted, I am glad you're here, and I'm glad you brought your sweet wife with you.
Thank you so much, Pastor.
You know, I understood from your wife today that God healed you at one time. How did the Lord heal you, and what was wrong, by the way?
You know, it's kind of interesting. Back in 1983, I was diagnosed with heart disease, and I almost died from it. I was in bed for 3 months. I was drinking.
How old were you then?
I was 27.
At 27 years old?
I had just finished graduate school at Florida State University, and I just graduated a couple of years early. I was in college for 8 or 9 years, and I basically became deathly ill. And I had an infection in my heart, the pericardial sac. The doctors did not know what to do. The treatment they were using wasn't working. I was drinking a bottle of cough syrup every day. I was in bed for 3 months. I gained 20 pounds of fluid weight. I was almost in complete cardiac pulmonary failure.
Dear Lord.
And I was almost dead. And it was interesting because a dear friend of mine that I met at that point in time, his name was Jeff, he was a naturopath. He came to visit me in my home in Tallahassee. I still remember because it was for the Miami-Florida State football game because we were still living in Tallahassee at the time. And he had seen me several months earlier, and he couldn't believe the physical deteration. And he goes, Ted, he goes, man, what's wrong with you? Because you look absolutely horrible. He says, you look like you're dying. And I said, I don't know what to do, Jeff. I think I am dying. I was coughing incessantly. And I said, I don't know what's going to happen to me. I said, they were afraid I'm going to die. And what's interesting is, well, I think I can help you with this. So he started telling me about the principles based on God's word as far as health and healing. And I looked at him, and
now you'd been seeing doctors, of course.
Oh no, the top cardiologists in the whole Central Florida area.
What did they tell you?
They told me there's nothing they could do. They give me some anti-inflammatories, they give me some anti-painkillers. Nothing was working. And so Jeff came to me and told me, he says, I think, you know, if you change, and it was so funny, I'll never forget it, because we ordered a pizza, and pepperoni pizza, you know, with pork on it. I'd never touch pork anymore. I'll tell you why in a few minutes. And what's interesting, I was eating, Jeff was picking all of the pepperoni off his pizza, and I was putting it on my pizza. And he said to me, he says,
but it tastes good, bro.
Oh, it tastes wonderful. I love the way it tastes. Yeah. And it was so funny because I told him, I said, Jeff, I said, you know, why aren't you eating your pork? He goes, it's unclean meat. And I said, man, we're not under the law anymore. We're under grace. He goes, you're absolutely right. You can eat all the pork you want to eat and get to heaven really fast. He goes, how's that working for you, Ted? I said, well, it's working pretty good. I'm pretty sick. He goes, you got to change your diet. You got to change what you're doing. And that sent me on a completely different quest, because before then I was just mainstream medicine. I wasn't even thinking about anything else. And I started changing my diet. God sent forth His word, and He healed me, and He rescued me from the grave. Now, I've got a verse I want to read, if I can, from Ecclesiastes.
Yeah, of course, I want you to.
This is absolutely, and folks, I want you to listen to me today. This is really, really important. I want to read this because this is critical. It's Ecclesiastes, one of my favorite books in the Bible, by the way. Chapter 9, verse 7. It says, go eat your food with gladness, for it is now, it goes on to say, for it is now, today, that God favors what you do. Now, I'm going to give you some key principles today. We're going to cover the top 10 foods never to eat. If we have time, we'll cover the top 5 ways to burn and melt body fat. But I want everybody listening to realize you don't have to be sick. You don't have to be diseased. You can feel good and have tremendous energy every single day of your life, because the next verse I want to read you is this. The race is not to the swift or the battle to the strong, nor does food come to the wise or wealth to the brilliant or favor to the learned. But time and chance happen to them all. Friends, I'm here to tell you today.
Boy, talk to our people, please.
I'm here to tell you today. Now listen to me, friends. I almost died from heart disease. God sent forth His word, and He healed me, and He rescued me from the grave. He can rescue you from the grave today. It's not by accident you turned this show on today. It's not by accident I'm on here today. It's because time and chance happened to everyone, because it is today that God favors what you do. It's today that God wants you to listen to this program and learn, because we are going to cover these top 10 foods never eat. I'm going to tell you how I recovered from heart disease. I'm going to tell you about the dangers of cholesterol lowering medication and with all these problems associated with high blood pressure, and how to correct a lot of those conditions without drugs. Let me start with that, Pastor Benny. And
First, introduce your sweet wife, Sharon, will you?
I always let him talk.
I love this.
This is my wonderful wife, Sharon. We've been married for 25 years. We have 4 wonderful children.
Wow.
Ages 5, 7, 9, and 19.
Wow.
My 19-year-old has just graduated from the university at 19
beautiful.
with a bachelor's degree. And he's just kind of chilling at the home now. And we've got people, nannies and people taking care of the young children.
Now, look at the camera and talk to our people as you begin. Please, I want to hear all this.
Okay. Well, here's what people need to realize is right now the U.S. is leading the world when it comes to heart disease, to diabetes, and to cancer. The leading cause of death in our children age 14 and under, other than accidents, is cancer, and that leading type of cancer is leukemia. And what we found in my office, I used to work with 40 patients a day. I've seen thousands and thousands of patients on an individual basis and helping them lower blood pressure, cholesterol, triglycerides, and blood sugar levels. And let me give you a real quick warning about all this. In the Journal of the American Medical Association, the May 2003 edition, they said if you take cholesterol-lowering medication for 30 years, you can extend your life expectancy by 6 months.
Say that again?
30 years on cholesterol-lowering medication, you extend your life expectancy by 6 months. If you take high blood pressure medication for 30 years, you extend your life expectancy by 9 days. Now, friends, if you're taking these types of medicines, I'm not recommending that you stop taking them. But what I'm recommending is this. There are natural alternatives to this. I know a nationally known evangelist that came to me several years ago. His blood cholesterol was over 600. And he said, "Can you help me with this?" And I said, "Absolutely." And I started laughing a little bit. And I said, "You got me here. You can ask me any question you want about health, and you're worried about cholesterol." He goes, "Well, the 4 doctors have told me I've got to go on blood pressure, medicine and cholesterol-lowering medicine." I said, "Well, I can tell you how to do that with diet." I said, "I'll send you some information." So I sent him an email, gave him some of my information, some of my books and tapes. He called me back 6 months later and said, "I've lost 37 pounds. I've lost 9 inches of my waist. My cholesterol went from 600 to 150 without drugs." It's easy. Cholesterol-lowering medications, they cause all kinds of problems. I always tell folks.
Do you know why I believe you? Because I had a problem years ago. They told me I had atrial fib. They put me on Lanaxin. They wanted me on Coumadin.
That's horse blood thinner.
Yeah,
it's rat poison.
And when I said to the doctor, I said, "Now, would you please tell me what this will do for me, and then what side effects?"
That's right.
The side effects were worse than what I had.
That's right. Right. That's right. In fact,
and let me just say, I saw this work. Nutrition. I went on Gary Gordon's program and Don Colbert's. I'm telling you, precious people, it disappeared.
That's right. It goes away.
I never took Coumadin.
That's right. Good.
I went off Lanaxin by myself, man. It's because the thing disappeared, just gone.
Yeah.
Nutrition and supplements really work.
Well, if you think about it, Pastor, if you're trying to build a house and you don't have the proper material to build the house, if you don't have the proper brick, the proper mortar, the proper rebar, the proper concrete, you can't build a house. If your body doesn't have the proper nutrients, it can't build a body.
I mean, the guy here in Newport Beach wanted to shock my heart.
Oh, yeah.
He did. He said, "I want to put you in the hospital." And I said, "No way, I'm leaving."
Let me give you some interesting stuff.
But anyways, I'm glad you're talking about this.
2.4 million unnecessary surgeries every year in the United States, with over 12,000 people dying. 300,000 balloon angioplasties.
How many surgeries?
2.4 million unnecessary surgeries.
Whoa. Wow.
Millions. And we have 100,000 people die every year, what's called iatrogenic diseases that have been caused by the wrong medication, the wrong procedure, the wrong surgery, hospital infections. I mean, think about that for a second. I don't know which is worse. There's a disease that's called iatrogenic disease that has got a name, or that we do it. Which is worse? Either one's bad. There are over 300,000 balloon angioplasties every year, but not one study has ever shown this dangerous procedure to be any more effective than non-surgical treatment. 70% of mammograms are incorrect. At the age of 60, 37% of the population takes 5 or more prescription drugs a day. I mean, the list goes on and on. Antidepressants cause suicide in children. We know that. I've been telling people that for 25 years.
And what is so sad is many of these doctors don't even agree with each other.
Well, look at the Vioxx debacle.
I mean, the ones I went to, they all disagreed on my
because remember,
condition.
it's a prognosis. What prognosis means is an educated guess. That's all that means. That means they're guessing at what's wrong with you. The Vioxx debacle, one FDA insider said over 139,000 people died from Vioxx. There's massive billions and billions of dollars in lawsuits now about Vioxx.
And you're telling us nutrition can correct?
I'm telling you that almost every single disease known to man, if you have the proper vitamins, the proper minerals, the proper nutrients to start with, and you're eating the right way, that these diseases go away by themselves or they'll never appear to begin with. Perfect example.
Because the body heals itself too.
The body heals itself. But let's go ahead and start on these top 10 foods never to eat.
Please,
Okay?
yes.
The first food we tell people never to eat are the high-fat luncheon meats. That includes bacon, sausage, ham, pepperoni, and hot dogs, including all pork
You just got
products.
some people mad at you right now, you know
Well,
that.
I know, but guys, if you're gonna, don't argue with me. You got to go to higher authority. This is Old Testament biblical Levitical law. You say, well, we're not under the law, we're under grace. You're absolutely right. That's the same thing I said. Okay, but the thing you have to ask yourself is simply this: did Jesus eat pork? Simple question: did Jesus eat pork? The answer is absolutely not. He couldn't have, because he would have sinned, because to a Jew it was to sin to eat pork. Well, the reality is God didn't try to put them under bondage by telling them not to eat pork. He tried to keep them alive.
But why are these meats bad?
Oh, first of all, we can. I mean, this is amazing. Well, first of all, let's inject a little bit of humor into this.
Go ahead.
In many cases, there's actually a certain percentage of rat or rodent hair in sausage meats. Okay?
I didn't know you had that in your briefcase.
I mean, this is something that people don't realize.
He never told me, precious people, he would have a rat.
Sharon said in the hotel.
That's plastic, anyways.
Yeah, it also squeaks. And,
Okay,
it is plastic. And there's actually a certain percentage of rat or rodent hair in sausage meat. So what happens is people don't realize rats don't get haircuts. You have to ask where the rat hair comes from. Well, they fall. They fall into the grinding vats in some plants, kicking and screaming. We consume the entire rat. That's where the rat hair comes from. So the next time you order a corn...
What else you got in there?
Well, next time you order a corn dog, you might as well go down a few further down and order a rat on a stick. Okay, this is a rat on a stick. And so that's what I'm telling you. But here's the interesting statistic about this, because I always try to inject humor. Because, see, no matter what you see for the rest of your life, you'll remember Ted Broer sitting on TV holding up a rat. Okay? But here's the thing. Here's why I'm doing this. This is so important to me, friends. Listen to me for a second. Remember I said the leading cause of death in children age 14 and under, other than accidents, is cancer. The leading type of cancer in these same children is leukemia. Now, look at the friends. Listen to me for a second.
That's scary.
I'm saying, but listen to this. The University of Southern California, right here in California, a few years ago, they did a study, and they said that children who eat just 3 hot dogs a week have 9 times the risk of leukemia versus children who do not. Oh. Now, friends, let me share this with you. This is so important. If you don't hear me say anything else to you today, you got to listen to me on this. We've got 4 wonderful children at home. They're always healthy. Your children's health is your responsibility, just like your health is your own responsibility. Like Pastor just said, I decided to get off these medicines because they weren't working. It was your responsibility to do that because it was your health.
Correct.
But listen to me, friends. It's so important. You can say, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not going to do what you say. I'll eat what I want to eat. If I die, I die. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to argue with you, okay? Because I want you to know I want the best for you. I want you to walk in divine health. I want you to be happy and healthy every single day of your life. But I can't force you to do that. But here's what I'll do. And I'll get on my hands and knees. I'll beg you for this. Please, feed your children right. Because their health is your responsibility. I've never seen a child yet go to the junk food store when he's 3 or 4 years of age and go buy a bunch of junk food. We bring it home, we feed it to the kids. And we have all these children that are clinically obese, all these children that are being affected with adult onset diabetes or juvenile diabetes and all these different types of problems. All of this is related to diet. We're finding out more and more. So please, feed your kids right. Whether you want to take care of yourself or not, give them a legacy of health for the rest of their life. I mean, remember, if you're 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight and you feel absolutely horrible, how bad does it have to get before you start making healthier choices? I mean, if you're going east on the interstate, but you want to go west, you got to take the next off ramp and turn around and go the other way. I mean, you've got to take responsibility for your own health. It's absolutely critical. Absolutely critical. Now, the next thing on the list we tell folks never to eat are diet sodas.
Now, go back through the meats first.
High-fat lunch meats. Bacon, sausage, ham, pepperoni, and hot dogs.
How about like turkey bacons?
Anything, as long as it doesn't contain sodium nitrite. Now, sodium nitrite is one of the most reactive substances known to man for causing malignant intestinal tumors and colorectal cancer. It's almost all luncheon meat. Now, friends, that means if you go to the grocery store and you buy turkey bacon, okay, and it says sodium nitrite, it's still in there. And when you combine it with the second thing on my top 10 list, which are diet sodas, or sodas in general are horrible too, I'll tell you why in just a second, but if you take a diet soda, which contains aspartame or NutraSweet, and you combine it with nitrites, and this is just chemistry we're talking about now, you form a compound called the diketopiperazine. In neurochemistry, it's called a DKP. Now you say, well, why do I care about what a DKP is? Well, let me tell you why. DKPs degrade in the body to form what's called a nitrosourea, and nitrosoureas are the most effective agent known to man for producing malignant brain tumors in laboratory animals. In other words, Pastor, if you want to cause an animal to get brain cancer, you give it a diet soda and a pepperoni pizza. And that's why brain cancer rates have gone through the roof in this country, because of the introduction of these chemicals into our food supply. It's like putting vinegar and baking soda together. It doesn't matter whether you believe it does anything or not. It does something. It reacts. It's like stepping off a 10-story building and saying, I don't believe in the law of gravity. Even Jesus himself, when he was tested by Satan to step off the temple, and then Satan started quoting scripture to him, the angels will pick you up. He says, no, don't test God. And see, when we do certain things from a biochemical standpoint, we poison our bodies, and it's not necessary to do that to our systems. It's dangerous.
Give me the second food again, and that is sodas, Pepsi, diet.
Any soda is bad because they're very acidic. They contain a compound called phosphoric acid.
Including diet.
Any soda, but the diet ones are particularly bad. And now what they do is they use to sweeten the regular sodas now, they don't use sugar anymore, they use high fructose corn syrup. Here's the problem with high fructose corn syrup. It turns the mechanism in the brain off that tells you that you're full, and it turns the mechanism wide open in your body that tells you that you're hungry. So you never fill up and you become ravenously hungry. And when you drink the sodas, it has so much phosphoric acid in it, which is low pH, it literally makes the bones porous. It eats the calcium out of your bones, giving you osteoporosis and osteoporotic fractures. Sodas are the most dangerous thing that you can possibly drink. They're horrible.
You know, a guy one time, years ago, took a Coke, Coca-Cola, put it in a glass, put a nail in it, and within days that thing was gone.
Same thing. You can take a chicken bone and drop it in a soda and it'll dissolve it, because it'll dissolve the calcium because it's so acidic. It does the same thing to your bones when you drink it. Wow. And the other thing is, and the thing about it is, say, well, I don't believe that it causes brain cancer. Well, we've had a huge spike in brain cancer. And another thing that it does, when you ingest aspartame, 10% of the molecular structure of aspartame is methanol, which is wood alcohol, which is paint thinner, which is a neurological poison that cannot be made non-poisonous. So you're ingesting methanol when you ingest aspartame. In addition to that, you ingest aspartic acid, which is 45% of the component, which at high concentrations eats holes in your brain. And in addition to that, phenylalanine is 45%, which causes permanent nerve and brain damage in high concentrations in anybody. That's what this product is. It's like a concoction of poison that you should never put into your body.
And third food is what?
Margarine, hydrogenated fats, trans fats. Always make sure you use real butter or olive oil. Don't use margarine. I remember I did a show with Stephen Vicky in Atlanta. They used to have a huge radio talk show there. And I mean, when the major universities came on after I was done, they were mad at me because I said not to use margarine. They said, I told them butter's better, especially organic butter. And they were all mad about it because the nutritionists and the dietitians and all these other people at this university said, he's wrong. Within 2 years after that show, the USDA came out and said that from now on, all trans fats or hydrogenated oils have to be put on the label of products. And they asked the USDA to determine how many trans fats were safe in your body, how much was safe, how much margarine was safe. They said there is no amount that's safe. It's so poisonous. And so again, the truth will always be known. You stay with what God put here. God put butter here. He didn't make some silly stuff like margarine.
So then butter is fine.
Butter is fine. Butter is very important for you. It's very good for your bones. It's very good for calcium. Butter's one, but always make sure you use organic butter.
But how much though?
Just a couple tablespoons a day is fine. The same thing with eggs. People say, well, you should never eat eggs. Well, that's ridiculous. Eggs are one of the highest proteins available as far as what's called protein efficiency ratio. In fact, all other foods are measured by the protein efficiency of eggs because they're so easy to digest by the human body. And people are saying, well, I'm only going to eat the egg whites. Well, that's crazy. It's not a complete food then. You've got to have the yolk too. Make sure they're organic eggs, by the way, because the organic eggs are absolutely critical because the yolk contains sulfur. That's why it's yellow. And the sulfur is essential for good hair, skin, and nails. People don't realize that, and they're always cutting back the sulfur. I mean,
and the non-organic?
Well, you don't want you don't want because they're full of chemicals. They inject the hormones into the chickens, and they're concentrated in the eggs, and you don't want to do that. I mean, I know Sharon was having some problems years ago with hair loss. Yeah. And she started eating more eggs, instantly stopped the hair loss.
Wow.
Because of the sulfur.
Because you have to have it. And see, again, it's one of those raw materials that your body absolutely has to have. So we eat eggs every single day.
And see, women have a tendency not to crave protein. We crave carbohydrates, all the fat foods and everything because of our hormones, and women need to eat more protein, and you almost have to force yourself.
Talk with them, please.
Eat more protein, eat more eggs, eat 2 eggs a day. I do, it helps. And look, it really helps your hair and your skin.
Especially first thing in the morning for breakfast. This is absolutely critical, okay? In the morning you have elevated cortisol, which is stress hormone, which makes you wake up and get out of bed. The problem, cortisol will actually digest muscle tissue. So if you don't get good quality protein in the morning, what ends up happening is your body starts to digest itself, you start losing lean muscle mass, and when that happens, you slow your own metabolic rate down, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. You get fatter and fatter and lose more and more muscle. Remember back in the 70s when everybody was drinking that liquid protein, that collagen diet, they were drinking liquid and everybody was dying of heart failure. Well, the reason that was happening is they were on this liquid protein diet and they were staying only on that drink all day. The problem is that's like drinking shoe leather. It's such a bad source of protein, and the body was deteriorating. So you can live without carbohydrates for an extended period of time. You can live without fat for an extended period of time. You cannot live without protein for an extended period of time. The body cannot produce it. And it'll start breaking down the lean muscle mass, including your own cardiac muscle.
You know, it's interesting. I was watching Pat Robertson this morning, and he said the reason many people are overweight is because they do not eat breakfast.
That's right. You have to stabilize that blood sugar, and you have to lower those cortisol
So
levels.
eating breakfast actually helps you maintain your weight?
Well, you know, two of the leading benchmark indicators determining how long a person is going to live, number one is lean muscle mass, and number two is strength. So if you want to see how long a person can live, measure their lean muscle mass and measure how strong they are. And invariably, if they have a high percentage of lean muscle mass and they're very strong, they end up having an extended life expectancy.
I can't believe we're almost out of time. We have 5 minutes left. I can't believe it.
Let me read a letter real quick.
Quick, and then I want to talk about your products, and he'll continue tomorrow, precious saints, so don't miss the program. Just quickly, what's the fourth?
The fourth thing, in fact, the first 4 foods we call the Kevorkian 4, and I'm sorry we didn't have enough time to finish the top 10 list.
We will tomorrow, yeah.
But number 4 is shellfish. That includes lobster, shrimp, oyster, prawn.
You've got something else?
I've got something else, of course. Yeah, of course.
He is too much. This man's got things in his briefcase.
Well, I want you guys to remember this, okay? This is a lobster. A lobster is an arthropod. A cockroach is an arthropod. As far as I'm concerned, all a lobster is a giant cockroach. That's all it is. Now, this is another food that God said not to eat. Now, you know in the state of Florida, we have between 10 and...
Let's talk about this tomorrow.
Okay. Let me read this letter. This is a letter from Judy. She wrote and told me, Dear Dr. Broer, I was writing to give you a praise report. Since I started your program 1.5 years ago, I've lost 50 pounds, and I've gone from a size 11 to a size 5. That's a huge drop in the share.
Wow.
But the weight loss is secondary to how I feel. When I started your program, I was always dragging. The mood swings were terrible. I now have tremendous energy, and I feel great all of the time. My husband has also lost weight and feels great. Our children have gone from over $2,000 per year in medical bills to being totally healthy with zero medical expenses. Interestingly enough, our total food budget has gone down by almost 30%. It's amazing. We feel and look great, and we're saving money.
Now listen, precious people, you got to get his stuff. He's got more stuff than we can offer on the program. But this, maximum energy, the top 10 foods never to eat, top 10 health. Now, you also talk about foods we should eat, right?
Yes, top 10 health strategies feel good. Yes, all of that.
All right,
yes.
That's all in this book.
Yeah.
This is massive. And what is this? Now, all these are CDs in here?
Yes, they're all CDs. It's
8? How many?
There are 8 CDs in there, and people get particularly blessed when they order my CD series.
What's in these CDs?
Well, because we talk about how to lower blood pressure, cholesterol, triglycerides, blood sugar levels. I talk about how to increase lean muscle mass, how to feel mass, how to increase your energy levels and feel great every single day of your life. See, this CD series was done after the book was done, so there's a lot of new information, more complex information that tells you exactly how to take care of a lot of different types of diseases.
Staying heart disease and cancer free?
That's correct. That's correct.
And then you talk about which supplements really work?
That's right. Most supplements do not work, by the way.
Really?
They don't work. There's only certain ones that actually work, and we'll talk about that. We talk about that in detail.
5 ways to burn body fat.
We'll tell you if we have time to do that tomorrow. We'll talk about how to melt and burn body fat.
The bypass.
That's
so
right.
People don't really need to have bypasses.
Bypass surgery is a very debilitating procedure, and over 90% of the people who experience bypass surgery, they never are the same after the bypass.
Okay, now listen. You've got this book. You've got these CDs, plus maximum age reversal. What do you mean by that?
Well, this is a book that's absolutely critical. I'm going to teach you how to maintain your lean muscle mass and change your chronological date. There's one product. If I couldn't take another vitamin, another supplement product in the world ever again, and I only had to choose one product, I'll tell you what it is tomorrow's show.
Okay.
It's absolutely critical.
And then you've got train up your children in the way they should eat.
That's right.
Now listen, precious saints. These 4 incredible, life-changing books and 8 CDs in here. This alone you sell for $129
at the office.
$29. Just this. That's 8 CDs in this thing. You've got this 8 CDs, the book on, well, a whole lot of stuff in here.
Yeah, that's right.
Plus,
Top 10 foods never to eat in detail on this one.
And then the age reversal, foods for children, all for $175.
Wow. That's
okay?
Wonderful.
If you'll call today, we'll send all this to you. And if you'll call and get all these, I will also have you choose one of these DVDs where you show men and Sharon shows ladies how to exercise. Is that it?
That's correct. In fact, we have it's beginning, intermediate, and advanced. There's 3 workout programs in each DVD, beginning, intermediate, and advanced for men and women.
Wow.
It's phenomenal programs.
Well, call today and you can choose one. If you want both, the operator will tell you how. And this here, even though it's not a part of the offers, if you want this, Eat, Drink, and Be Healthy, another
8 CD series.
8 CD series. Ask the operator about this and she'll tell you how you get it.
This one's particularly interesting, and I love this program because this one also has medical reports that I've written on high blood pressure, depression, diabetes, cancer, ADD, prostate, infancy. ADD is attention deficit disorder with kids. And right now we have between 10 and 15 million children taking the drug Ritalin. We'll talk about this on the show tomorrow and give you natural alternatives to the use of drug Ritalin, and it's in this program.
Listen, get all this. Call today and get these life-saving materials.
Absolutely.
And by the way, you're good. I like it. But I want to know what you have tomorrow in your briefcase. Maybe a few more of these. Yeah. Anyways, love you. I'll see you again tomorrow. And don't miss the program. Bye-bye.
Before you put a child on a Schedule II drug, try a dietary change. Try behavioral management. Try everything you possibly can first. Because, friends, listen to me. If your son is on Ritalin or Adderall for an extended period of time, they can't even serve in the armed forces of the United States. They won't even take them. Now think about what I just said. Now what does the federal government know that they're not telling us?
For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, I am there in the midst of them. We know God hears our prayers and answers them. Pastor Benny's evangelism and healing ministry takes him around the world, but he has made it a priority to spend time in prayer for you. Send Pastor Benny your prayer requests and let him come into agreement with you. In addition, the ministry staff will pray for you before your request is sent to Israel, where for 30 days the saints in Jerusalem will agree with you. So write today and come into agreement with him for your needs to be met.
Bangladesh is a unique place. It's one of the most densely populated countries on the face of the earth. We have 2,500 people per square mile, 140 million people in a place the size of Arkansas. These children have come from mostly the village areas where there is no running water, no electricity, none of those things. They come from really the people that have the most difficult and hard times. They come from what's called the landless poor. Those people who are working for poor people. They're the ones that put out the crops and work in the fields and those things. And so when there's time of downturn economically, they're the ones that suffer the most. And so these are the children that have come from those people. And to make it worse, they come from families who have lost either both of their parents or one of their parents, or one of their parents have been disabled, or their circumstances were so bad that they have been given over to this home. We want to thank Pastor Benny Hinn and all of his staff and all the partners for all the help that you give us. Because of partners like you, we can do things like this with all the children. The children in Bangladesh are our hope for the future. We figured out a long time ago, if you haven't had a church that has served God, why not raise one up? And that's what we're trying to do here. We've taken kids from some of the most hopeless circumstances there could possibly be, who have nothing, who work for those who are poor themselves. We've taken children like that and brought them here and are giving them hope for the future. This is not just a rescue mission, but we're planning for their future so that in the future they can be the world changers in this nation. And that's what we expect, and that's what we're hoping for here at the Home of Hope. And we thank you for your part in that.